Good morning children, stay safely at home. So I am starting the next chapter, matter waves. It is a very small chapter but very important chapter. Whatever I will discuss in this chapter, very important and you must learn it. It is a scoring chapter and every year question comes from this chapter. So please understand and learn each and every topic. So what is the name of the chapter? Matter waves. Okay. So before discussing what is matter wave, we have to know about the wave, electromagnetic wave, especially light. Now in the photoelectric effect chapter, we have seen that if you consider light as an electromagnetic wave, then you will not be able to explain the observations or laws of photoelectric emission. Alright, that's why in the photoelectric effect chapter we have learned that Planck's quantization theory of radiation, that according to Planck, when you are considering, you are trying to explain certain phenomena or effect exhibited by light, you cannot consider light as an electromagnetic wave. Rather, you have to consider as if light is made up of some particles, energy packets, and that particles or the energy packets was termed as photons by Planck. Alright, and according to Planck, it was given that energy of each photon, if you consider the photons from the same radiation, then all the photons, they will have the same mass, same momentum, same energy and same speed. Alright, again mass of a photon if you consider, then that another important fact is there that when the photons are at rest, then mass of the photon we call it as rest mass. So from the name only one can make out rest mass of photon. What is the meaning? That when the photons are at rest, then the mass of the photon is called as rest mass, and rest mass of photon is 0. Alright, then when the photon is moving, then the mass of the photon is termed as kinetic mass. So you must remember that with photon we can associate rest mass, means mass of the photon when it is at rest, and kinetic mass when the mass of the photon when the photon is moving with certain velocity. Alright, now according to Planck, if you consider the radiation, then radiation is made up of particles, and what are the name of the particles? Photons. If you consider the energy, momentum and mass of the photon, all of you know, we have studied in the last chapter that mass of the photon, if it is m, then momentum of the photon, it is given by m into c, which is equal to h nu by c, and energy of the photon according to Einstein mass energy equivalence is given by mc square. Alright, and according to Planck's quantization radiation, h nu. Another important fact is that if you consider the photons are electrically neutral. They do not have any electric charge within it. So what happens? The photons, they never deflect in electric and magnetic field. So if I summarize the discussion, then these are the points: that radiation in its interaction with matter behaves as if it is made up of particles called photons. Each photon has energy given by E is equal to mc square or h nu. Last chapter you have done it. And momentum, P is equal to m into c or h nu by c, and speed is c. And another important point is rest mass of photon is 0. This is the point you have to remember. Then the third point is all radiation photons of a particular frequency. Remember, particular frequency means the radiation is having the constant frequency, is having the same kinetic mass, same momentum and same energy. Because just look at this one, that the momentum, energy, everything depends on the frequency of the radiation. So if the frequency of radiation is constant, then what will happen? Momentum, energy, speed, mass, kinetic mass of the photons will be the same. The next point is photons are electrically neutral and therefore they do not deflect in electric and magnetic field. So we have seen that if you consider the radiation, electromagnetic radiation, it has dual nature, isn't it? Means electromagnetic radiation you may consider as wave if you want to explain certain phenomena, just like interference, diffraction, polarization, then you have to consider the electromagnetic wave as a wave nature, alright. But if you consider the reflection and refraction, in that case also you have to consider electromagnetic radiation is having wave nature. But if you want to explain the photoelectric effect, Compton effect, it was there in your portion, it is now removed. So photoelectric effect, Compton effect, if you want to explain, then radiation you have to consider as the particle nature. Okay, so radiation has dual nature, particle nature as well as wave nature. Alright. Now, de Broglie gave a very famous and important concept. He suggested, he said that if you consider universe is made up of matter and radiation. Radiation means nothing but energy. Alright, that matter and energy, matter and radiation, they coexist in the universe. Everything present in the universe, either in the form of matter or in the form of radiation. Alright, then de Broglie said that nature loves symmetry. So as nature loves symmetry, so these two physical entities, what are they? Matter and the radiation. They should have symmetrical character. Alright. So you see, as we know that radiation, it is having dual nature, wave nature. Radiation means first thing that comes in our mind is electromagnetic wave. We term it as electromagnetic wave, but we know it has particle nature. Alright. So matter means what? The moment I say matter, what concept comes in mind? It consists of particles. So matter already is having particle nature, but de Broglie suggested that as radiation has dual nature, matter should also have dual nature. Matter already we know it is having particle nature, but he said that matter should also exhibit, all the materials, all the particles present in a matter should exhibit the wave nature also. That is de Broglie hypothesis. And he said this also, that every particle in motion, remember, because rest mass is 0. So that's why when a particle is in motion, we can associate a wave with the moving particle. So the wave associated with a moving particle is termed as the matter wave. Now, from the point of view of exam, de Broglie hypothesis is very important. Whenever de Broglie hypothesis comes, almost every year it comes and frustrating answer we get. So please, you follow the stepwise, that's why I have written. These are the points you are supposed to write when the de Broglie hypothesis you have to state. In de Broglie hypothesis, entire universe is composed of matter and radiation, first point. Second point, nature loves symmetry. Third point, thus two physical entities, matter and radiation, must have symmetrical nature. Then fourth point, this fourth and fifth point are the most important part. That if radiation has dual nature, then the moving particles of matter should exhibit wave-like nature. And de Broglie suggested that the last part is the most important one. It is must in the de Broglie hypothesis, that all material particles in motion, don't forget to mention that when you are considering the material particles, when they are in motion, have wave nature also. And the wave associated with a moving particle is known as matter waves. So please girls, learn the de Broglie hypothesis, especially the last 2 points. Very, very important for your exam. You must learn, write and practice it. So what is matter wave? You can say that the waves associated with moving particles moving particles of matter are known as matter waves. Okay. Now, what will be the de Broglie wavelength of matter waves? How we can do? We know that when you are considering the particle nature, then energy of the particle is given by E is equal to h into nu. Alright. So, you know h nu is equal to mc square also. Then how you can write down what is the mass? Mass is equal to h nu by c square. So, you see what will be the momentum of the particle. Momentum of the particle is m into c. So, if you substitute m, it is coming h nu by c square into c. So, it is coming h nu by c. Is that clear? Now, you know that C is equal to nu into lambda. So, nu cancel. So, what are you getting? P is equal to h by lambda. Momentum of a moving particle is given by h by lambda. So, what will be the wavelength? Wavelength is given by h by p. Is that clear? So, this is known as the de Broglie wavelength. So, de Broglie wavelength lambda is given by h by p. Now, one can write P as m into V. So, you see what is the expression for de Broglie wavelength? De Broglie wavelength is given by h by P or h by m into V. So, why always I put stress on the moving particle? Just consider this one. If the particle is at rest, V is equal to 0. So, when V is 0, then what will happen to the value of lambda? Lambda will become infinity. So, wavelength is infinity means what? It is not at all exhibiting the wave nature. So, that's why this is the moving point is very, very important, that we can associate a wave with a particle which is in motion, which is moving, and that de Broglie wavelength is given by h by p equal to h by mv. You have to solve the 2 marks or 1 mark numerical on this formula. Very simple, easy formula. So, learn and practice and remember that lambda is equal to h by p, or you can write it as h by m into v. Now, these 3 graphs I am discussing very important. All are based on this formula that lambda is equal to h by p. So, you see you can write lambda into p is equal to h equal to constant. So, when the product of 2 quantities is constant, then what is the nature of the graph? It is a rectangular hyperbola. So, if you draw P versus lambda graph, it will be a rectangular hyperbola. It will be a curve like this. Please follow the way I have drawn the curve. Okay. Nobody will draw the curve like this, because this is not a rectangular hyperbola. Remember. So, you should not draw. Now, you are science student. You are in 12th standard. So, in 10th standard, you used to do it. Means curve means you can give any kind of curve. No. Here it will be a rectangular hyperbola. So, draw the curve properly. Then, if you consider m into lambda, you see here m into lambda when you are considering, then we are considering the velocity is constant. So, you see P is equal to mv lambda. So, mv lambda is h. So, m into lambda is h by v equal to constant. So, you see m lambda, it will also have the same nature, means it will be a rectangular hyperbola. Don't forget to mention that velocity is constant. Okay, m versus lambda graph will be a rectangular hyperbola when v is constant. Then the next type of graph is V versus lambda graph. So, here just look at it. If you consider V versus lambda, then you can write V lambda is equal to h by m. So, mass is constant. So, it is constant. So, V versus lambda, it will also be a rectangular hyperbola. Remember, don't forget to mention mass is constant. So, these 3 graphs are very important. This one and this one for your exam. You must learn and practice it. But please do not try to mug up, because if you remember the mathematical relation between the 2 quantities, easily you can plot the graph. Next is de Broglie wavelength of electron. So, if we consider what is the de Broglie wavelength of a particle moving with some velocity given by h by mv, okay, according to de Broglie hypothesis. Alright. Now, if you consider the kinetic energy of an electron, Then you see kinetic energy of an electron, you can write it as half mv square. Suppose we are denoting it by k. Then you see how much is v coming? V is coming under root 2k into m. Isn't it? V is coming how much? 2, it will go there, 2k by m, sorry. V is coming under root 2k by m. So you see, you can write lambda is equal to h by m into 2k by under root m. So here outside is m and here by a root m. So you see, if you cancel it, here it will come root m, isn't it? Because m, one can write it as root m into root m. So root m will cancel, another root m will left here. So you can write it as under root h by 2mk. So this is one relation for the wavelength of for a electron, that it is given by h by under root 2m into k. What does k represent? K is the kinetic energy of electron. Again, we are having this concept also, that kinetic energy is given by E into V. When the electron is accelerated through a potential difference V, then kinetic energy of the electron is given by E into V. This is the concept of electron volt. In 10th standard you studied it. I hope you have not forgotten it. So you see, one can write kinetic energy is equal to E into V. Then you see what will be the relation for lambda. Lambda will be h by under root 2m E into V. Is that clear? Now, h is the Planck's constant. Planck's constant is how much? 6.6 into 10 to the power minus 34 joule second. M is the mass of electron. It is constant. E is the charge of electron, it is also constant. So if you substitute the value of h, value of m, value of E and then simplify, then lambda comes. This also you can remember, this is the easy relation for solving the numericals. It comes as 12.27 angstrom divided by under root V. Is that clear? V is the potential difference through which electrons are moving. This is also known as accelerating potential. What is the name of the term? V, accelerating potential, or the potential difference through which the electron is moving and getting accelerated, gaining energy. Alright, so what is the relation for the wavelength of the electron? Either you can write h by under root 2mk, or you can write it as h by under root 2mev. Or if you cannot remember the values of h, m and E, then you can remember this, the simplest relation, 12.27 angstrom. Remember, it is not in meter, it is in angstrom. 1 angstrom is 10 to the power minus 10 meter. So it is 12.27 divided by under root V. Is that clear? Another one is also there, that you can write it like this, under root 150 by V angstrom. So any of the four relation you can use to solve the numericals. Okay. So again from the relation, that P into lambda, P is equal to h by lambda, you know. Lambda is equal to h by P, or you can write P is equal to h by lambda. So you see, if you plot lambda versus 1 by P graph, lambda versus 1 by P, how much? H. Constant, so it will be a straight line passing through the origin. And what will be the slope of the graph? Slope of the graph is h. So this is a very important kind of graph. You must remember the nature of the graph and what does its slope represent. What does slope of lambda versus 1 by P graph represent? The Planck's constant h. That's the way you may get the question in exam. Then another lambda versus V graph, it will be a rectangular hyperbola. Already we have drawn V versus lambda graph. Now we have just interchanged the axis. That it is lambda versus V graph. So when mass is constant, it will be a rectangular hyperbola. Then lambda versus 1 by V, lambda versus 1 by V graph will be a straight line. Is that clear? Because you know that you see lambda into m into V is equal to h. So lambda is equal to h by m into 1 by V. So you see, this is of the form y is equal to mx. So that's why it will be a straight line passing through the origin. And what will be the slope? Slope is equal to h by m. Is that clear? Because you know y is equal to mx when we write m is the slope. So if you just compare this, x is 1 by v, lambda is y. So what is the slope? H by m. So what is the slope of lambda versus 1 by v graph? It is Planck's constant divided by mass. Alright. So these are the 6 graphs altogether I have discussed. So you must practice the nature of all the graphs and you must remember it also. Now, de Broglie hypothesis said that we can associate wave to a moving particle. Alright. So that de Broglie theoretically given. Alright. Until and unless it is experimentally proved, it will not be accepted, isn't it? So Davisson and Garmar first performed the experiment on electron diffraction. Now the detail of the experiment removed from your syllabus, but you have to remember this fact that Davisson and Garmar experiment, they prove experimentally what they prove. They prove the wave nature of moving electrons. Means the Davisson and Garmar experiment, is the direct evidence of the de Broglie hypothesis of wave nature of particle. Alright, so that's the end of this chapter. Once again I am repeating, this is a very small chapter, but each and every topic I discussed in the lecture are important for your exam, and I want that everybody should opt the question coming from this chapter. Alright, because it is scoring, interesting and easy to remember. Thank you girls.